Hello and welcome to our next session. We're so excited to be here for our next Focus Cyber session in our Cybersecurity Career Day. I'm here to introduce Michael Ifeanyi, and on Unlocking Untapped Talent, no, I am on the wrong side. We have to get to the right session. And so, there we go. There we are. Cybersecurity Career Launch, Essential Skills, Certifications, and Entry Points.
Thanks.
And so, Michael, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Philippa. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Francisca, also. My name is Michael, and basically, I am a cybersecurity practitioner, and currently, I'm a solutions engineer at Google with my specialization on Kubernetes networking and Kubernetes security. So today, I will be making a presentation here about Cybersecurity Career Launch with emphasis on essential skills, certifications, and different entry points into the realm of cybersecurity. And yeah. So these are the talking points that we're going to be addressing today. So we're going to be touching on busting myths associated with the cybersecurity realm. We'll have an overview, a quick overview on cybersecurity, looking at the data points that point to the outlook in the cybersecurity job market. Would also be touching on in-demand cybersecurity skills. By no means is this list going to be exhaustive. And then we'll also, talk about different career paths that you can use to get into cybersecurity, because as we all know that cybersecurity is quite a very large landscape to get into, and there's a whole tons and tons of positions out there. And we'll also be taking a peek at some entry-level positions that could make things easier for you to navigate your way into cybersecurity, either if you're transitioning or you're just starting afresh in the tech space. And career launch steps also will be touched upon, and some cybersecurity certifications will be looked into. Again, by no means is this list going to be exhaustive. We'll also be touching on some valuable resources that you probably use to point your way in the right direction to gain like some sort of like valuable hands-on experience before breaking into the cybersecurity space, and also some conclusion after that. So starting off, there are usually some myths that is prevalent in the cybersecurity space. And I actually call this from Hack the Box. So if you wanted to see more, you could actually reference this source here. One of those myths basically is that, usually people think that cybersecurity is for computer geniuses. That is not true. Anyone can actually break into the cybersecurity space. However, it requires a whole lot of dedication, a whole lot of effort to actually make your way into that space. And it's an extremely hard field to get into. That is not true. You can actually work your way up the ladder. Usually people that find themselves in cybersecurity, it's not all the time, usually people that find themselves in cybersecurity, they do have that history of starting as help desk solutions, technical solution support, and then they kind of like work their way up the ladder, because when you get into the field of networking, you're able to implement the network, and then the next thing afterwards is to protect the network from being infiltrated by cyber threats. There are no entry-level jobs. That's another myth. There are many entry-level jobs. And one of those entry-level jobs that I feel so far, based on what I've seen in the industry, are SOC analysts, where you're able to monitor logs and actively check for threats as they come into whatever you are protecting. And it says there is formal advanced academic training is mandatory. That's not true. There's people that do not follow the academic route into the cybersecurity space. However, they are still working in the cybersecurity space today. Just to move on to the next slide I do have here, where we'll be touching on some overview of cybersecurity. So basically, cybersecurity is you trying to practice in the field of protecting your infrastructure, be it network systems or otherwise, and try to prevent things like cyber threats. They could range from data leakage to things that could affect brand of the organization. That, speaking of trying to protect confidential information of companies that you don't want to go out there in public, this is what cybersecurity can actually be used for. There is also a rapid industry growth. I think I picked up the stats from U.S. Department of Labor, and it's still projected to keep growing as of 2027. And there is still going to be that increased demand for talent. A lot of times, yes, there is a catch-22 in the cybersecurity space. Sometimes you really need that experience to get into cybersecurity. So it's not like you're going to come in fresh, but you do need that kind of like knowledge already. Like, say, if you wanted to get some basic hands-on experience, there are actually technical documentations that you could utilize to break forth in that regard to still break into cybersecurity. So things like that point you in the right direction here. And like I mentioned earlier, the increased demand for talent is still going to be on the rise. And there are, like we said earlier, diverse career opportunities in cybersecurity space, which we'll be seeing later on. This is also from the U.S. Department of Labor statistics. There's a projection here for information security analysts. It's projected from 2020 to 2031. I think that's like 10 years gap. It's projected to increase by 35%. That tells us a whole lot that the demand for cybersecurity specialists, analysts, consultants, engineers will still be on the rise. I'd say it's a great field to go into. Now we're talking about the in-demand cybersecurity skills. And again, just to reiterate that by no means are these lists exhaustive. You do have network security. Basically, what you're doing here is like you're trying to protect the network from being infiltrated. And you do have the incident response. These are the people that take action once they detect breaches. And you do have risk management. So this is more of on the managerial side of things. This is where you have your CISMs and your auditors trying to assess the risk of the system before they are being thrown live to production. And it's risk management is always going to be a continuous cycle. So it doesn't stop. They don't stop. It happens each year based on the defined period of time that the management analysis is taking place. And then you have the vulnerability assessment. These are where you have the folks that will test your application, web applications or networks for vulnerabilities, and they make the assessment and submit that to leadership. And there is also cryptography. So this is where we talk about public key infrastructure to ensure data confidentiality of the probably maybe web applications or networks or what you may have. Speaking on career paths, there are various paths that you can touch upon to get into the cybersecurity space. You have the cybersecurity analysts, and these guys are actually responsible for monitoring, analyzing, and responding to the incidents and threats in your setup. And we have the pen testers. These are also the people that would try to intentionally attack your system, and they could be outsourced or they could be in-house, but they will intentionally try to break through your system and document their reports on it, and they'll let you know how you can actually make those resolutions to fix those vulnerabilities that were identified. And then you have the security engineers. Basically, what these guys do, they kind of work with the developers to come up with ensuring that you're following, how do I put this? They try to make sure that you're following best principles to implement any type of applications, or maybe web applications, as the case may be, if I may use that term, and make sure that you're following the best principles to implement whatever you're implementing. Make sure you're following all secure protocols, and that you're protected against any forms of attacks. Then you have the incident response specialists. They also work with the SOC analysts. Once once any form of attack is identified at SOC level, these are people that step in to try to resolve issues and make sure that there are no further breaches along the way. And then you also have the cybersecurity consultants. These people can work at the customer level, where they try to consult they could consult in terms of cybersecurity architecture, where you try to explain your business need from a security perspective, and then you consult them for advice and strategies on how to implement these cybersecurity measures in your solution. With a focus on entry level, there are popular routes that you could actually use to break into the cybersecurity space. One of those, which are cybersecurity internships. You could have a cybersecurity internship with some companies or some existing programs. And also, you could also start off as a SOC analyst. One of the ways to get your hands dirty on trying to become a SOC analyst is to try to implement SIEM tools. That's SIEM, and one of those popular ones are Splunk. When you're able to implement Splunk, you're able to read the logs, you're able to analyze attacks as they come in, then you're already on a good path to making a headway with this route. And then you have the help desk technician here. So basically, this is another starting point. It's kind of like a double-edged sword here, because this could be your starting point into the tech space. You start resolving desk side issues, networking issues, and then you could graduate into this path here and then break into cybersecurity proper. But they all lead into your journey as a cybersecurity professional, because this has a lot of foundational elements to it, and then you can graduate from here, or you could start from here and then go here and come here to launch a reasonable pathway into cybersecurity positions. I think there are some questions here. I think there's one speaking on GRC.
Yep, let's go through these questions. So we've got would risk management fall under GRC?
Yes, that is correct. That should be on the governance aspect, yeah. And one of those certifications that you may want to pursue is the CISM or the CISA by ISACA.
Okay, so our next one is, what foundational skills are most important for someone starting out who wants to become an offensive security engineer?
That's a good question. Now, being an offensive security engineer, one of those things that I do advise people is starting off as offensive, you would have a whole lot of ramp up to do. Why? Because being on the offensive, you're kind of like how do I put this? You're kind of like trying to break things. But if you don't know what you're trying to break, how do you make that headway? So starting from the blue team might be a recommended path. It doesn't mean that people don't go directly to the offensive security engineer level. And now, to address the foundational skills, you need to be good in your Linux. That would be a very essential skill to have. Coding skills are going to be essential as well, because you're probably going to be doing a lot of scripting to launch offensive security attacks. So those two skills would be great. And it wouldn't hurt to also have IT networking skills, like understanding basically what Network Plus is about. That would also help build a good foundation.
Michael, another question is, what career path in cybersecurity should someone without a background in cyber pursue to start a career in cybersecurity?
That's another good question. So if you already determined that cybersecurity is the path that you would like to pursue to start off, I'd say it's pretty good to start from the SOC analyst positions. They're actually a great way to launch a career into cybersecurity, and because if you become a SOC analyst, you can now have a myriad of options that you can actually pick from and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm actually done my time here as a SOC analyst. I would like to move to probably maybe managerial roles like auditing, risk management, or you wanted to move into offensive security. But I think SOC analyst would be like a great path to launch your career in cybersecurity.
Another question is, thank you. Sorry. So how easy do you think I can transition from a data analyst to become a cybersecurity expert?
That's a good question. And I do think it all depends on your determination and also the right training is also going to be involved, because if you're not like reading the right documentations, if you're not watching the right videos, because I'm like a visual learner, so that would make the journey a little bit tricky now to get to your final destination. And another thing, you need to understand what space or what field basically in cybersecurity that you want to leverage. Because if you use the term cybersecurity expert, like it's a huge umbrella. So there's lots of fields in cybersecurity. You need to understand where in cybersecurity am I taking myself to? Where would I want to be in cybersecurity space? You, it may be a little bit ambiguous to just be a cybersecurity expert, because there are different fields in cybersecurity. One of the rising fields in cybersecurity right now is AI security. So that's a new one that's it's coming into trend.
Okay, we have another question that's like an audience question that asks, how does one choose the best secret organization to test with? There's a lot to choose from.
Is When you say secret organization, was that kind of like for pen testing, or if you could just help clarify what you meant by best secret organization to test with?
Kelsey, if you put that in the chat, we'll bring it up on the screen. If you can just do a clarifying question. In the meantime, let's move to the next one, which is, what's the best way to get experience when you don't have a job yet? Are homelands, labs, or capture the flags useful?
100%. They're always very useful. There's sites like TryHackMe and Hack the Box. They're really great arena to actually gain practical experiences. And one thing is this is not just gaining those experiences that could relate to real life scenarios. You should document your journey. When you're able to document your journey, this forms part of your portfolio to potential recruiters when they either you could do that on Medium, you could do that on LinkedIn, you could do that on your GitHub. So, but just ensure that whatever labs that you're trying to reproduce in your test box environment or your sandbox environment, as case may be, make that effort to actually document them.
Okay, I have another question from the audience. Is
well, we've got the clarifying comment from Kelsey on the.
Oh, she does.
Yes.
Also, it says there's CompTIA, there's ISACA, there's SANS. How do you choose which one to? And that's a really great question, because different recruiters or different organizations do have like I want to say like a wish list of what they want to see for their candidates, and these actually form the trimming benchmark for waiting, taking off candidates off the list that do not qualify. So I don't want to say go for all of them, because it's going to be weird and misdirectional. But what you can actually do is go for the popular ones. I don't think you can actually go wrong with CompTIA. Like, you could start off with Security Plus, and then you could start doing home labs that are able to show that you do have the skill set. I think CompTIA does have like a Security Plus module that has all the labs required to show your skill set as a Security Plus certified individual. And once you put that on, hopefully you're able to get something in the cybersecurity space. Sometimes it could be tricky.
Do you, Michael, have any free resources for our audiences that you would recommend?
There are a lot of free resources on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That will be my best bet for like trying to use those resources to be able to get the knowledge or breach the gap between where you are at and where you want to be in the security space.
Mm-hmm. And then there's another question that is, which core skills should a beginner focus on first? Networking, Linux, or something else?
I think there was seems like there was a different question on the screen there.
No.
So you said, what core skills should a beginner focus on? Networking, Linux, or something else? My opinion in this is, if you could actually juggle both networking and Linux, that would be great. But you can't go wrong starting off with networking. There's many certifications on networking, like you have the Cisco Certified Network Associate, and also the Network Plus from CompTIA. Those are actually great certifications to start off with. Once you have a good hang on how networks are implemented, how they are maintained, how they are protected, and then you can start, getting your feet dirty on Linux.
Another question is, what are essential prerequisites for SOC analyst roles in today's job market?
Well, I think we touched on this earlier when we were speaking on SOC analysts, where we spoke on SIEM. Those are like Splunk. I think that's like a good skill set to have. Also, understanding networking is also going to be essential, because knowing Splunk as a SIEM tool is not enough, because you would still need to understand, what am I monitoring? You're not just looking at a screen and you're waiting for cyber threats. I think it's pretty much essential as a security person to have like a picture of what you're trying to protect. It makes no sense if you're just like, oh, I'm just monitoring logs, but you don't really know the full picture of what you're monitoring. So I feel like networking, Linux, and practical experience with like implementing Splunk, they would be great prerequisites to have for SOC analyst roles.
And also, do you think a good transition from data to security could be data security, understanding data loss prevention, or is it more a job duty within one of the bigger roles?
I'll just have this read again. It says, do you think a good transition from data to security could be data security? So I feel like, and if I understand you correctly, being in data and being in security, they're two different roles. My own perception of being in data is analytics, able to visualize the numbers for business leadership. And then you now talk about security, which is protecting that data from being leaked at some point. And that's where you get to the point of data loss prevention. So, and data loss prevention is now going to be like the technical name for it. As a data analyst or as a data person, you're already doing some form of security, like maybe implementing passwords on your Excel spreadsheet. That's actually preventing people that are not supposed to see confidential information from, prying eyes. So, but now data loss is now like a solution that has been implemented organization wide, not just as an Excel spreadsheet level, but this is for the entire organization. It's already like a solution that's in place to prevent things from getting out of the organization. So understanding data, that could also still help, because you already have the knowledge of data. But then now when you get into the security aspect of it, you're thinking of how to protect that information from being compromised.
Okay, another question is very specific with cloud security. Does networking correlate at all, or is it completely different?
For cloud security, yeah, there is a component of network security in cloud security. Yeah.
Also, can you land an internship without the necessary skills or minimal experience?
That's a good question, and I feel like that would depend on the need of the business. When the business says we need an intern, they have that mindset already that they're going to train. But like, if you want the intern to meet you halfway based on skill set, you are willing to put out the skill set that you should already have before coming in. So it's a subjective decision based on the company.
Okay. And the last question, or one of the last questions, are, apart from what you said about core skills, what skills are often missing in entry-level candidates that I can start building now to stand out?
Apart from the core skills being the technical skills, then you also have the soft skills that are always required to get through the door at any organization. Your communication skills, your presentation skills, and yeah, the behavioral skills. Those ones are skills that you should also build upon, if you're speaking from the perspective of entry level. Yeah.
And I just want to add one more, because I think we were on it and then we clicked off of it. There were two questions. One was about just free resources. So if you can just, as we wrap up, just give us some of your favorite sites, some of your favorite YouTube channels, anything that's just specific for people to sort of start and run with.
A good site that I always fall back on is Professor Mesa with his Security Plus program. That's a very great resource to actually utilize.
Fantastic. All right, Francesca, I'll leave it with you.
Okay, there's another question though. What is the difference between cybersecurity and information security?
This is just basic lingo because they're the same thing. Because information security, cybersecurity, security, they're all used to refer to the term protecting your infrastructure, as the case may be, and applicable to whoever is using in the various contexts.
Thank you so much for being here and answer all those questions. It was amazing.
Go off here.
Pardon?
There's still some slides that I still have.
Oh, go for it.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So I'll just wrap up quickly because I think that we're, that's 4:29 already. So basically, these are steps that you could utilize to, launch your cybersecurity career. You should pursue relevant education. This could also be certification and degrees, cybersecurity degrees. And you should also gain hands-on experience. We talked about TryHackMe and Hackbox, great sites to actually gain hands-on experience. YouTube as well, huge resource there. Build a professional network. You can actually link up with people at seminars, conferences, and LinkedIn as well. And continuously develop your skills, because being a cybersecurity professional actually requires a whole lot of continuous development, because you never stop learning. There's new attacks are coming up and new vulnerabilities are discovered. Zero-day attacks are coming up, and then we need the skill set to be able to combat these issues when they arise. Tailor your resume and have a great portfolio. Like your GitHub could be a great portfolio to have, and also prepare for interviews. And these are cybersecurity certifications that we touched upon as well. We have CompTIA Security Plus here. There is also the Certified in Cybersecurity by ISC2. Great certification to start out with. I understand that ISC2 is giving out 1 million certificates vouchers for free. You should leverage this as well. And then there's also the GIAC Security Essentials. This is actually with the government agencies in the United States. So this is also a great certification to have as well. These are actually entry-level certifications. And resources that we talked about, there's YouTube, there's Coursera, Udemy. These are paid in comparison to YouTube. There's industry certifications that we also talked about, professional communities, and the rest here. So these are the conclusions, and I urge you to take action, whether you're at the point of entry or you're trying to transition into cybersecurity. The learning never ends. It's always good to have that under your belt. And thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We see each other in the next session with Kenneth Ellington. Beyond the job description, we'll talk on career advancement in cyber, and we also have a Q&A afterwards.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Michael.
Thanks.